We're still waiting on some other board members, so we'll give them a few more minutes. Birdie is supposed to be getting on Zoom, but she's not on yet, so. She was totally by herself until just like the whole time.
Don't worry, she's got somebody to back her up over. Got your gavel over there today?
Yep.
You responded?
Hey, Director Folk, can you hear us? Can you hear us? We can't hear you if you're trying to say something. Says what? So you can hear me, you just don't have a microphone?
Pete.
We appreciate everyone's patience. We have to have at least 3 board members here to have a meeting, so. Okay, Director Folk, can you hear me now? Is that a nod? Maybe?
I can hear you now.
Okay, and we can hear you.
All right, perfect. Thank you.
Okay, thank you everyone's patience. We will go ahead and get started. Please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you everyone for being here today. We will go ahead and call the meeting to order and welcome our guests. Is there any need for translation today? Seeing none, we'll move on. I'll accept a motion to approve the agenda with one amendment. We are going to replace supporting document for C17 with an updated version, with two amendments. That's the first amendment. And the second will be the removal of item D1 and to table the Wahida's presentation to the next school board meeting. So I'll now accept a motion to approve the agenda.
I motion to approve the agenda. Can I second it too?
I'll second it. Is there only three of us?
Yes, there's just the three of us today. So, thank
Okay.
you. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Great, motion passes 3-0. Thank you.
Wonderful.
Okay, we will go ahead and move into recognition. We'll turn the time over to Director.
I'll be a substitute director. Substitute director today. Just for the folks who are observing here today and those who are also watching remotely, the board recently made a change to noon meetings, and so there's some logistical things that are occurring with some of our board members. The intent was to allow us to participate more consistently in Othello City Council meetings, and so as we work through that, we think the product's going to be better in the end. But a little bit of thank you to Director Foat for joining us today and allowing us to have a quorum. I typically just get to introduce the folks who are going to recognize people in our system, but today I have the good fortune of recognizing a couple of folks, and we're going to start with our student rep first, Liliana Faustino, who's been on our board as a student rep at Othello High School and is moving on to Gonzaga here in the next few months and a couple weeks away from high school graduation. And so we always like to take a moment to recognize our students for all the effort they put in, for advocating for their classmates and for contributing to our conversations here in the boardroom. And so open it up to Director Pruneda and Director Gerber to share some thoughts about Liliana and her outstanding contributions.
She has not been afraid to make comments and to speak up about the student needs, which we've really appreciated. She's definitely brought a unique perspective with her and her family background, and we're really excited for her to move on to the next step in her life.
Thank you.
I just want to say it was a privilege. I am wishing you the best. I think that you have represented the students here with us as best as I've seen in the time that I've been here, and just wish you would check back in after you are back in college just to keep us updated. Just wishing you the best.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, before we give you a plaque and we allow you to say a couple words, I did want to highlight one activity that I saw Liliana take the lead on, and that was our signing day at Othello High School. She attended a national conference with some of the board members and had a chance to hear from a community from across somewhere, I don't remember what state they were from.
California.
From California, and they shared their experience around signing day. And to go and hear something like that and to say, well, what a cool experience for families and for kids, but then to put it into action at our high school is pretty remarkable. And so I had a chance to attend that first event, and it was, I think, a really exciting start to what could be a new tradition in Othello. And that's exactly the kind of input we hope that all of our student reps will bring to the table. So thank you to Liliana for being such a cool kid and such a quality a representative of the kinds of students we have at Othello High School.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, I want to say thank you for everything. It was nice seeing like behind the works that goes within our district. I loved this new perspective. I also loved being able to talk and say my stuff here. I love each and every single one of you guys. You guys are amazing. Marissa, you're amazing. I'm going to try not to cry. Dr. Perez, you and Ms. Perez are so amazing. Helped me a lot with my scholarship to Gonzaga. Director Gerber, you're very nice too. Loved your sense of humor. It's so amazing, especially in Seattle. Director Perneda, really, really nice guy. Here, very different from Alizé, but I don't agree. But yes, each one of you guys are amazing. I love the new opportunities you guys gave me to be able to travel in a plane the first time ever, going to Georgia, first time getting out of the state with Sister Amy. Oh, she's also amazing. Everybody here is amazing. I loved the new experiences and things you guys helped me to grow. Thank you.
We would like to get a picture and also present you with your plaque.
Okay.
You guys want to take one over there so we can have Birdie in the back?
Ready, 1, 2, 3.
All right, well, we're going to continue on with the theme of recognition. And can you all hear that okay? It's just me with the one good ear. A few weeks ago, I had a chance also to attend another celebration in our community, and that was Avid Night for Othello High School. It was the Avid program coming together and sharing the story about the students and the year that they've had there. And in that event, there were some board members and community members who reached out to me to encourage us to take an opportunity to recognize someone special in our system as it relates to Avid. Certainly that night they did an excellent job of recognizing Colette Simpson for her efforts at Othello High School, and it was sort of that high school recognition, but we thought it was appropriate to also share more broadly. Colette is leaving our system and has earned her retirement, and certainly we're excited for that, but we wanted to take a few moments just to call out a couple things. Avid is a program designed for communities like Othello. It really is. It fits our kids so well. But there are a number of programs in public ed, but none of them really work without the right people. And the kind of people that you need to be engaged in Avid are collaborators, people that can work with others and bring teams of people together to help students. You need people that will advocate for funds and resources and experiences for kids so they get the development they need to be successful. You need someone who's willing to be a coach who has your back, but is also willing to say hard things and make you uncomfortable from time to time. And Colette is really good at that. So she does it in a safe way, but doesn't always let you feel comfortable as a student or as an adult. And that is what has pushed the Avid structure and system in our community to the level that it is now. So we all wanted to take a moment to recognize as a district Colette's efforts and recognize her with the challenge coin and thank her for stepping up to the challenge, but also open it up to other members of the board to share their experiences with her as she moves on to what we hope is a long and enjoyable retirement. So thank you to Colette.
Colette was there when I was in high school, so known her for a long time. Like Pete said, the Avid program has been huge for so many students, and we hear so much about that all the time from how it's affected our students and improved their lives. From the district side of things, we have really appreciated the relationship that's been built between the district office and OEA, and Colette's been a big part of that. And I can honestly say that's made things better for everyone, for the staff, for the teachers, for the district, for the students, and so that relationship has been really important. We really appreciate Colette and everything that she's done for that.
If I didn't know anything about you, the first time I attended an Avid night, the kids said enough with that. Then I got to hang out with you this year, and you're a person who I admire because it's black and white. There is no middle. You say what you need to. Rub somebody the wrong way, but it's in a good way. That I appreciate. If I didn't know you anymore after that, like I said, my daughter, that was huge. You've made an impact in her life, and it's hard for a parent to sit back and watch somebody. I sit here as a parent right now, as a father, and just wanting to let you know, thank you. because you made a tremendous. She'll never forget you. Let's just say that. So thank you so much for that.
Director Foe, did you want to say anything?
Yes, thank you. I've only had the privilege of connecting with Colette at our national conference regarding kind of the school stuff and a little bit outside of school board stuff. And it was super evident at that recognition with each of the students sharing their personal stories that she will be missed. Job well done, Colette. Job well done.
I put you next to Colette.
On? I probably don't need it. Do I need
Oh,
it?
yeah, you need it.
Okay.
Just-
There, is that on? I was actually going to come to a board meeting right after I retired because I had a couple things to say, but I want to say thank you for this. Avid has been the thing that made me a better person and a better teacher. It's an amazing program, and we have amazing kids, and they deserve every opportunity that we can give them, and Avid has done that. I came here 28 years ago. My husband told me we'd be here 5. He lied. But I'm really glad he did. I found a home and a community in the school district. The best people I know have come through these doors, both as students and as people who work here. The district has allowed me to stretch and grow. It's challenged me, and it has allowed me to leave a little bit of myself behind. I've worked on so many programs because I'm a firm believer that you can't complain if you don't work for a solution, and the district has always allowed us to be as involved as we wanted to be. And when I leave here in June, I am going to leave happy. I could have worked another 5 years because I love my job that much. And I love my kids. I love the students at Othello. I've been to other places, and I can say this, I know. When I moved here, that was the first thing I noticed, was that we have the best kids. And I have loved working with them. So this district has really, it has made my career so enjoyable. And I just want to thank you all, students, the board, all the people I've worked with. It's really meant a lot to me. So thank you so much.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, we will move on to board member discussion. I don't have anything for legislative report today, but was there anything else in board member discussion that we wanted to bring up? Okay, we will go ahead and move on into student representative reports.
Okay. I don't have much going on besides sports. Did really well. Baseball did extremely well. I've been looking, I wasn't able to physically be there, but I've been looking at the OSD athletics and all of that, and I loved the OSD athletics page. It's so helpful. I was just going to say that the scholarship night was a new, and the whole, awards, integration together was a whole new thing, but I think I loved it a lot. I've been to the ones previous years where I've helped, give out treats or cookies, whatever it was, and I really like this one. It's very, enjoyable. I didn't get bored. I liked, recognizing other students who don't get recognized all the time, and I like seeing that. I just wanted to say that. Yeah, that's it.
How are we looking for graduation?
Yes, so excited.
Great. Okay, thanks very much. Okay, we'll go ahead and move on to required approvals. First, I'll accept a motion to approve accounts payable warrants 1.
I motion to pay, what was it again? Account payables 1?
Yes.
And everything else is in there.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, thank you. Okay, now we move on to superintendent informational items.
Yeah, so we're going to continue with our routine updates on the Future Ready Schools project. And so Dr. Meek is going to share a presentation and some information about taxing impacts on our community and continue that conversation with the board.
All right. Well, again, we're back for our monthly update. It feels like we were just here, but today, actually, we're going to focus, as Dr. Perez said, about the tax side of things, which I know is not always a super popular topic, but we know this is that being open and honest about it and lively in our conversations certainly helps navigate the road that's ahead of us. One of the common questions that always comes about when communities start to talk about school funding for construction is someone will ask a question of like, well, why is using a bond the only way to really build a school in Washington? And so I want to remind us that in our state, there are basically 2 different ways that you can pay for capital work. One of them is through a capital levy, and one of them is through a bond measure. And as you know, the Future Ready Schools team is currently investigating both of those, and you're going to see some information today of how those roads may come together. But we're not able to take out a loan or take out a mortgage or do any of those other things that maybe a traditional business would have the opportunity to do. And so bonds, and unfortunately the byproduct of that is taxes, are the way that those are funded. You know that that's heavily driven by local property values, which is somewhat complex for us because, as you can imagine, if you look at our geographic area, there's a variety of communities of different sizes with very different property tax values. We use Quincy a lot as an example because Quincy, while the district is smaller and the community is smaller, their assessed valuation is, I believe it's almost 5 times what ours is. And so you start to see what that impact is in taxes and when it comes out. And so when people ask, how was Quincy able to build such a beautiful building at such a low tax rate? Because that assessed value is really there. And that your assessed value is then directly ties to the tax rates that local taxpayers pay for taxes. We're going to look at a couple of those elements of that formula today, and then have a little bit of fun with some scenarios around it. Do you want to go to the next slide? When we started the Future Ready Schools, we knew that we had these 3 big buckets to really talk about, being the levy, the capital levy, and the bond. And we had this window of about 5 years of time that we need to start to put the pieces together. And there's some very intentional reasons, with an expiring levy, with some bonds that are coming off of the tax base, we knew that there were some things that needed to happen. And so I'm happy to share with you that while the team hasn't reached their final consensus, it's definitely pointed in the direction, if Marissa would switch to the next slide here, of starting to line up when those things land. We already know that a levy happened this year, back in February, when we were successful in that. You will probably see a recommendation coming your way in the upcoming months to proceed with a capital levy, which is it's different than the EP&O levy, but it allows you to do it for capital work, and then eventually a bond in 2029. What's going to be more important, though, is I want you to see kind of the tax impact as those pieces come together, because this is where the positive momentum we have, we're going to have to really be clear in helping understand for people what that means ahead, because nobody loves taxes. It's a reality. And in a community heavily driven by agriculture, it's even a greater impact because of the industry in our area. So if we look first at the next slide here, this is our This is what we're expecting in the year 2027, meaning the final year of that bond. So the two taxes that are landing for people related to the Othello School District, we expect that they will be paying 97 cents per $1,000 of assessed value on the bond. And remember, 2027 is the final year of that. And then the levy that we just passed at $1.50. So that totals $2.47 per thousand. Over on the right there, you see some values of what that means in kind of real people language. $341,000 is the what's listed as the median home value in Othello at this time, or property value. And so that if the owner of that $341,000 property, that $2.47 would mean they're paying about $842 a year in taxes for these, which is about $70 per month. Pretty straightforward, not much change from where we've been. But when we look out into what's next, and this is where it starts to get interesting, if you want to go to the next slide. You saw my chart there where we talk about bringing on a capital levy and a bond, or what that combination looks like. And I will tell you, there's several members sitting here today that are all part of, and some of you are, of that Future Ready Schools team. And I know that everyone is very cognizant of this discussion and trying to be really realistic in what the outcome is. So what is scheduled to happen in 2027 is that $2.47 could drop by about 97 cents. And this is an interactive thing, so you'll start to see the numbers change here. But the reason why that would drop off is that that bond is coming due for our final payment. And so when you see that, give it a second to refresh here. It would drop it down just to the levy that's there. And we've all been very clear that it's probably not a good idea just to let that happen because there are still significant capital needs in the district. And at the same time, it's harder to kind of make up for that lost ground if we let that just slip off. And that's where the idea of a capital levy comes into play. And so that capital levy, you can run it for up to 6 years, and it has a smaller dollar amount, meaning it's not a large bond or not a large capital project amount. But if we added that to our tax base, the maximum you can run a capital levy for is $1.50 per $1,000. And so if we were to do that and include that in at the $1.50, you will see that will then jump up to about $3. Obviously, the $1.50 and the $1.50. So, in comparison to where it was before, it's a little bit higher. It's like 53 cents higher than where we've been. But what that would do, and you see the numbers kind of calculate off on the right there, that would generate about $4 million, just over $4 million a year in capital levy funds. We have, and the Future Ready Schools team has had what I kind of call a short list of kind of smaller projects that need to be done, things like the food service warehouse, some roofing, potentially even some gym repairs or replacements at our elementary schools that are unable to do both lunch and PE. And the idea behind this capital levy is that you, as a board, you could choose to run it for any length of time from a year up to 6 years. We want to be realistic in that we don't think it would be a wise move to have both a capital levy and then ask for a bond and have those stack up on top of each other, because if we were to do something like that, let's just play with that for a second. Let's even just say a $100 million bond, which we know is far below the what's needed for a high school project. But all of a sudden, if we had stacked both of those on top of each other, we'd be up in the $4.61 range just for a $100 million bond. So the idea would be that the capital levy would perhaps fill that 2-year gap in between when the initial taxes would drop off, and then it would pick back up or when the bond kicks in. Now, there is some strategy behind that, and that is that most districts who do something like this, they actually get the approval for the capital levy for a longer period of time. So maybe you ask for it for 4 years or 6 years or whatever the amount is, and then you make some assurances that when we pass a bond, we will stop collecting on that, and so then it would just stop that tax. So in that same scenario, if you were to do that and you were to say, okay, in 2029, which would actually be in the 2030 collection year, we drop off that capital levy, you'll see that it brings it back down to that $3.11, which is still a little bit higher. But you see that you can start to pace out where it's going to be and where it's going to land as they come together. The bigger trick in all of this, though, besides the capital levy, because again, the capital levy is kind of a short-term solution to get some major work done, but not enough to build a high school or even an elementary school, but is to really set that rate of where the bond amount is supportable by this community. I will tell you, and you can see this, the highest value that we would have the debt capacity to be able to run is $151 million. In Washington, you can only have debt capacity, you can only have up to 5% out in bonds at any given time. So that's 5% of your assessed valuation. So that's where we get the $150 million. So at the highest, what we would be able to run it for, the bond rate itself would be $2.44. That would generate the $151 million. And the total tax at that time, tax responsibility would be the $394. Again, it's a pretty, if you compare that cost difference of, it's about, for that $341,000 landowner, it's about a $500 a year difference between where they currently are and where they would be at the time of collecting for that new bond. There's also some, and I think there's some sentiment in the room with the Future Ready Schools team especially, that maybe asking for $151 million, which would be the maximum we could do, isn't a wise move right away, and that there's some strategy of bringing that down and trying to do some phasing with that high school project. So let's just play with that for a second. We are preparing for our next Future Ready Schools meeting to bring forward some different kind of revised projects. And so maybe that drops to $125 million, say. And you see that obviously then that would drop it from 244 down to 202 and keep that tax rate at about 352. So the fact is this, is all of those scenarios obviously have an increase. It's part of a discussion around what is the right amount of increase to support that bond work, and at the same time have enough to complete any project work that needs to be done. We are at our next Future Ready Schools meeting, which is actually next week. We will be looking more closely at what I would kind of call some different sized high school projects, because we used a number initially that of about a 1,600 student high school, which is probably too large for the current both for the current tax base and what we can have out, but also just the student enrollment population at this point in time doesn't really depict that need. And so obviously if you can bring that down, how close we get to 125 million or 115 million or 135 million is all really going to depend on those recommendations that will be coming your way of how much of that to really build and construct. And at our the next one of these, which will be in June, we're preparing to talk to you specifically about the high school construction, like the different, how those packages kind of come together and what that amount looks like. You saw some initial numbers in our very first one of these that you had it in that $200 to $250 million range. And so you may ask, well, that seems quite a ways away from 125 million or over 150 million. And the fact of that is, yes, we have a gap. Aaron and I had an opportunity to meet with some different folks on Friday, really kind of discussing that gap and some what else can we really do. We do qualify for about $50 million of state match, so that locally that would mean the need would be somewhere between 150 and 200 million if we were to build that very large facility. So, what questions do you have about some of the tax rates, or if you want to try a different number in there and just kind of see what it does, or?
Just really quick, the SCAP funding isn't tied to the debt capacity at all, right? We can do whatever we want debt capacity-wise, and that doesn't apply to that?
Correct. Okay. It only connects to age of facilities and the unhoused students, so other factors, but not the debt capacity. Yes.
I don't know how to be. Where's Colette? I like her. She's black. She's white. So I'm going to tell you my deal. For me, there was back when I went through school, there was a bunch of farmers. I could sit here and name a bunch of them that sat there and said, our kids are our future, and we're going to put in on this. And that's the same mentality that I have. One of them is their name's on our gym. There's others that's all they did was donate to this community, and we seen it on scholarship night, Mrs. Hampton. We just need to make sure that we pick out the best option for them, and keep that same thing going in the school. So
yeah, and I think what you're speaking to really also just as a reminder for us to make sure we're doing it in the right way, so that when we get there, it's clear what the thought and the strategy is, and it's not just some plan that we came up with.
The biggest thing for me, for the conversations that I've had, is transparency. It's if we want, let's just say we want a red car. At the end, it needs to be a red car. It cannot be a blue car. It cannot be a light red. It has to be what we set out that we were. And so I feel like we have to win back some of that trust with a lot of people that we might have not let them down, but they feel like they've been let down. And so we need to somehow make sure that they know that we're going to honor what they ask for, what we say.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I appreciate the report, Dr. Meek, and I think the opportunity to work through the Future Ready Schools team with that interactive tool. There were lots of questions from that committee about potential tax impacts, and I think things like the impact per month really resonates with people. I think the other piece about transparency right now is certainly strong support through the levy vote. We knew this was going to be part of the process in the next iteration, and there's really some positive momentum on that committee to say, let's at least put something in front of our voters. The other part that can be hard to communicate is the impact or the value of the SCAP funding. So when you throw these kind of numbers out there and you say, you only get access to this 50 million or 55 million by the time we're ready to build, if you pass this, that can resonate with business folks as well. Like Dr. Meek shared, nobody likes to be taxed, but we also have an obligation and a responsibility to not only Liliana and the students we have now, but the ones in the next 10, 15, 20, 30 years. And so excited about what the committee's doing, and we'll continue to update the board and try and make the best decision possible. So.
And mind you, Josh, these go a long way. I like the updates constantly, so that some of us are just so busy that we can't be even though we want to be in the School Ready's meetings, we can't. But this makes it so much better that we're constantly putting something out there so that people can follow along, even though if they might not be able to make it. So.
This also is constructed in a way that when we get back together with that team, the 341,000 is just a value that's in there, but you could easily alter that to be reflective of any value, which is we had some previous tools that did the same thing, but just so if your home value was 234,000, you just see how it impacts. It's I think sometimes people get lost in the numbers, and because there's so many different numbers, and when you're talking about that between a tax rate and how much the bond is and what the impact for you as an individual is. And so it's just really important for people to have that clear understanding and be able to wrap their head around for them as an individual or as a business owner or a landowner what that means. So, okay. So again, if you go to the last slide, we'll be back on June 22nd for the next update for this. We do have a meeting next Tuesday night, the 2nd. That will be the final meeting before summertime, which means that we will be ready in the late summer, early fall to really hit the ground running with coming back to you, especially with some reports. And I will just give you a preview that if we do make the recommendation and you do accept the recommendation, take action on it to run a capital levy in 2027, that means that the fall is going to be the time to really put that all together. Just like we did this last year with the EP&O levy, it's a similar process where there's a resolution you have to pass and all those things. But it's starting to come together in a way that we've got some numbers and sense to it to make sure what's really impacting. And I should also say, I just put in the $1.50. We could elect as a district or as a board, you could elect to run that capital levy at any rate up to $1.50 you wanted to. And you go back there for a second. It is, so for example, if you said, well, we don't want to go all the way to $1.50, but maybe we want to do $1, you can see the dollar would generate about $2.7 million in the capital levy per year. So.
In the next meeting that we have, could you bring like an actual list of some of the projects that some of the school-ready teams are thinking about doing with that? I think that would help out quite a bit to know what some of those projects would be.
Absolutely. You should know just about that list. It's identical to what it was really in a previous bond attempt. Like the needs haven't changed per se. And unfortunately, in the other bond attempts that were not successful, that list is it's kind of been sitting there stale, waiting for the things to still happen. We have been able to, for example, one of the things that's on the list is upgraded playground equipment at some schools. And we've been able to kind of piece that over the years. You know that you've taken some action on approving some things, but they're not all done. But what's left on there are some things that I don't think there's anything on there that will be a surprise to you. But yeah, we'll happily bring that list so you can see it. And we've actually, for the Future Ready Schools team, we've put some pictures with some of them too, so you can get some visuals about what we're talking about. So, okay. Thank you.
All right, thank you for that. One more item on superintendent informational items, and that's around graduation ceremonies. And so Leanna might be able to communicate this with some of her classmates. But last year, the state of Washington passed legislation that required school districts to allow students to have an item or an object of cultural significance as part of their dress for graduation. And really the intent down at the bottom was in recognizing that for a number of years in Washington, that was allowable for members of recognized tribes in Washington. And so there was a movement to expand that opportunity for cultural identity for all students in Washington. I think the reason it's important for our community and for our board and for our staff to know is graduation might look differently this year if students do have some item that's important to them that has been approved by the school that isn't consistent with what graduation has looked like in the past. So it's not a judgment about whether or not the legislation is good or bad. I'm just letting you know that it's going to look different. And this will be our first year with it, our inaugural year. So any questions about that? Yeah.
Just last week, Liliana and I were at the same event, and I will tell you that Mrs. Atchison made that announcement to a group of students. She chuckled that she doesn't get clapped at very often, but students were very happy with Liliana's nodding her head, but it was a very well-received message from me.
Yeah. Well, we look forward to seeing what you wear at graduation then. All right, that's it for superintendent informational items.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Rose. Okay, we'll go ahead and move along. The Wahidas Elementary Board Report has been tabled until our next meeting. Do we have any public comment today? Okay, no public comment. Let's go on to upcoming events. What does the calendar look like? Here we go. Okay, so Future Ready Schools team meeting next week. Wow, that's not. Next week, though, yes. Next Tuesday. Okay. And then OHS graduation on June 5th at 8 p.m. I think last time we said all the board members were going to be there, if I remember right, but we'll get an official count on that. Dual language night on the 9th, and Husky Beginnings on the 10th.
I'd like to add that there's a FFA barbecue on Thursday out at the fairgrounds.
This Thursday?
Yes.
All right. FFA barbecue this Thursday out of the fairgrounds.
For the FFA.
Okay, we will move on to board self-assessment of the meeting. Thank you, Director Foe, for jumping on from work. We appreciate you being here. Anything else for self-assessment of the meeting?
For me, it was very informational for the Ready Schools. I really appreciate the information that they bring down. Absolutely love when we get to recognize people. Sad to see Colette move on, but thank you for all her years of service. That was huge. Leilana, we're going to go to Gonzaga and visit her. Me and Aaron are going to go down there. You'll have to pick a day to hang out with us. We'll make sure we wear Whitworth apparel.
Okay, awesome. We will now adjourn into executive session for 15 minutes. There will be no action following the executive session, and this meeting is